The last time I said his name, I didn't expect it to be the last time. I said it softly, almost under my breath. I didn't want to disturb the room, even though there was nothing left in it that could be disturbed. The nurse stood nearby, giving me space, but I could tell she already knew what had happened. People who work around endings can recognize them before words catch up. I stood there longer than I needed to. I kept thinking if I waited a little more, something might change. It didn't. I'm 88 years old now. That number surprises me sometimes when I say it out loud. I don't feel like the kind of person who should be that old. In my head, I still feel like a man who has things to take care of. But my body moves slower, and my days are quieter. Silence fills more space than it used to. When you get to this age, memories don't come in order. They arrive when they want to. Sometimes they come while you're eating breakfast. Sometimes when you're tying your shoes. Sometimes in the middle of the night, when sleep doesn't hold as long as it once did. I didn't always think about forgiveness. When I was younger, I thought it was something that happened naturally, something that would take care of itself if you ignored it long enough. I was wrong about that. I grew up in a house where nobody talked much about feelings. We weren't unhappy, at least not in a way anyone talked about. We worked, we ate, we slept. Problems were handled by not mentioning them. If someone was angry, you felt it in the way doors closed or plates were set on the table, but nobody said anything directly. That was the air I learned to breathe. I didn't know there were other ways to live. My brother and I shared a room when we were boys. We fought over small things. We made up without discussing it. We knew each other without explaining much. That kind of closeness feels permanent when you're young. You assume it will stay no matter what. As adults, we tried to carry that closeness forward. But life has a way of changing the shape of things. We had different temperaments, different ideas about responsibility, different ways of dealing with conflict. None of that seemed serious at first. I got married, started working, started doing what was expected of me. I believed being steady was the same as being good. I believed providing was enough. My wife was patient with me in ways I didn't fully understand at the time. She asked questions I didn't know how to answer. When something bothered her, she wanted to talk about it. When something bothered me, I wanted it to pass. Most days were routine. I woke up early. I shaved. I ate breakfast quickly. I went to work. I came home tired. We ate dinner together. The kids talked. I listened halfway. After dinner, I sat quietly. My wife cleaned up. Sometimes she asked if something was wrong. I said no. Sometimes something was. Ordinary days don't feel important while you're living them. That's how they slip by unnoticed. The trouble with my brother didn't begin with shouting. It began with misunderstandings, with expectations that weren't shared, with assumptions that went unspoken. When our parents passed, emotions were close to the surface. Grief changes people. It sharpens old habits. We disagreed about things that probably didn't matter as much as we thought they did at the time. We both believed we were being reasonable. Neither of us wanted to step back first. Then we stopped calling. At first, it felt temporary. I told myself it was just a pause, that things would cool down, that one of us would reach out when the time was right. I believed time would soften everything. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. Holidays passed quietly. I noticed his absence more during those times, but not enough to act. Acting would have meant admitting I missed him. Life continued, steady and full. The kids grew older. School events turned into graduation days. My wife worried about things that felt far away to me at the time. I focused on keeping things running smoothly. Smoothness became my goal. Sometimes, late at night, I thought about my brother. I imagined what I would say if we talked again. I imagined keeping it simple. No arguments, just acknowledgement. But imagination stayed imagination. I retired in my early 60s. The days opened up in ways I didn't know how to fill. Work had been a structure I leaned on without realizing it. Without it, time felt looser, less defined. My wife and I settled into quieter routines. Morning coffee, short walks, evenings in front of the television. She still asked about my brother now and then. Not with pressure, just curiosity. I always said the same thing, that we hadn't talked in a while. When she got sick, the world narrowed. Plans were replaced with appointments. Conversations became shorter. I learned how to wait without knowing what I was waiting for. In waiting rooms, you notice small details, the way people avoid eye contact, the way time stretches when there's nowhere else to be. One afternoon, while we were waiting, she asked if I ever thought about forgiving him. I didn't answer right away. I told her maybe someday. She nodded. She didn't argue. She never forced me to face things before I was ready. She passed away quietly. No sudden moment. Just a gradual absence. Afterward, the house felt empty in a way I wasn't prepared for. Silence stopped being peaceful and started being heavy. I found myself talking to her sometimes, just to fill the space. I talked about small things, about the weather, about memories, about regrets I didn't know how to handle. That was when my brother began to feel closer again, even though we still weren't speaking. He appeared in my thoughts more often. I thought about how short life felt now that I could see its edges more clearly. Still, I didn't call. Fear doesn't always feel like fear. Sometimes it feels like caution, like patience, like waiting for the right moment. The phone call came on an ordinary day. Nothing special about it until the words landed. He was in the hospital. It was serious. If I wanted to see him, I should come soon. Soon is a word that changes meaning as you age. Soon used to feel flexible. Now it felt urgent. I drove there slowly. My hand shook on the steering wheel. I rehearsed what I would say. I told myself it didn't need to be perfect. By the time I arrived, it didn't matter anymore. I stood beside his bed and felt the years between us collapse into something painfully small. All the reasons we hadn't spoken felt thin and unnecessary. I spoke anyway. I apologized. I forgave. I said things I should have said earlier. Forgiveness came then, but it didn't feel like release. It felt like arrival at a place I should have reached much sooner. Now my days are very quiet. I wake up early because my body insists on it. I move through the house carefully. I eat simple meals. I sit by the window and watch the day happen without me. Regret doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It just stays. It reminds me how easy it is to delay important things while convincing yourself you have time. If there is anything I wish I had understood sooner, it's that silence is not neutral. Silence is a choice. Sometimes it's the wrong one. If someone's name feels heavy when you think of it, there's probably a reason. You don't need the perfect words. You don't need to be certain of the outcome. You just need to reach out while reaching out is still possible. If this sounds like something you've lived or something you're living now, you can share it in the comments. Sometimes putting it into words helps. If you know someone who might need to hear this, you can share it with them. And if you want to hear more stories like this, you can subscribe. I'm still here, still remembering, and still speaking while I can.